What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and we're continuing on with our Nord Games sort of showcase, if you will. Last time we talked about dangerous destinations, which is more just kind of general locations that you might find in your adventuring day and travel and whatnot. Today, we're going to be talking about spectacular settlements, a similar concept, but we're talking more about actual like cities or places where you're going to go to matriculate with other people, whether that be a village or just a simple trading post or things of that nature. So it's going to follow a similar format to Dangerous Destinations, but we'll go ahead and dive in here. We'll actually generate maybe one or two settlements in the course of this, as well as reviewing some of the pre-written ones, and then see what we kind of do like we did last time, where what kind of story can we tell as we build one of these settlements out. By the way, I will have links in the video description to go ahead and pick up a copy of Spectacular Settlements for yourself. Those are affiliate links, and I do benefit monetarily if you happen to pick up Spectacular Settlements or anything from Nord Games via any of the links in the video description. So here is Spectacular Settlements. It's available both in PDF as well as in hardcover. And if we were to scroll down, you can see, again, here's the breakdown. The forward and the introduction kind of pretty high level, but rather than rolling to randomly determine the location, this one is split up more into we have trading posts, villages, towns, cities, capitals, and fortresses. There are pre-generated ones under each, but we don't have an opportunity here to just roll to determine randomly which one, although we can make something up. So we have, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whereas with Dangerous Destinations, you were kind of rolling to determine the destination. This, and I think it probably makes a little bit of sense if you're like, okay, I need for my game tomorrow night a village. Let me go ahead and do that. And in my game currently, the one that I'm actually running Thursday evening, I am at a spot where I'm finding myself needing to generate more things like towns and cities for the characters to go into. But I thought it would be fun since there's 6, we'll go ahead and roll a D6, and then whatever we come up with, that's the one we'll go to and start trying to build something out. So, we got a village. Okay, well, that's fine. I rolled a 2. So let's go ahead and skip ahead to villages. All right, so we have a little bit of information here about villages and then the general overview. So basic information. Below you find a variety of attributes such as the age, condition, size of the city. So let's go ahead and scroll down. First up is a D20. How old is the city that the party is going to go to? We're going to go ahead and roll a D20. 19, which is ancient. The village was established near to or more than a century ago. That's going to give us some modifiers, as you can see here. +0 to the population density roll and +4 to the hardship likelihood roll. All right, so we have an ancient village. The way the party's kind of going in my campaign, that actually makes sense. So, hardships. Villages are, quite possibly, the most vulnerable of all settlement types. Unfortified, largely unmanned, and lacking sophisticated medical aid, a village can be ripe for disaster. The longer a village has been around, the more likely it will share some form of hardship. One would hope that if hardship had struck a significant enough time ago, the village may have recovered. The hardship tables will modify the attributes which reflect the current state of the village. Okay. It says idyllic villages. If you intended goal is to have a village that is happy, serene, or simply uncomplicated, just choose to not roll hardships at all, right? That's obviously an opportunity you have with any of these. You could obviously just go in and pick and choose, and maybe when you read through the list, something kind of calls out to you, and you say, oh, that's what I want to do. So we know because we have an ancient village, we're going to add 4 to whatever we roll on this D20 for the hardship. So let's go ahead and see. 12 will push us up to 16, 3 hardships. The village has experienced 3 difficult situations. 2 tables follow, a hardship type and a hardship outcome. Roll once on each table for each hardship your village has experienced. The type determines what the hardship was, while outcome determines how harsh the losses were. Okay. So we rolled 3 hardships. So let's see our hardship type. We'll go kind of in descending order here as we kind of get through this. So first up, hardship type 7. Loss of community leader. A key member of the community died or went missing. Modified attributes, disposition. Okay, we're gonna have to see what that means here in a second. Okay, then we're gonna roll on the hardship outcome table, which is a D10. 8. Moderate losses. The village's losses were rough, but recovery is likely, though maybe tough. Modifier -2 to rolls to any hardship type modified attributes. All right, let's scroll up and see the example because this is a lot of stuff. Okay, here are the results. 3 hardships. Raid, catastrophic losses, -5 to settlement size, population wealth. Okay. Identical modifiers are added together. For example, population density is affected by all. All right, so I guess we'll just have to keep scrolling down. So modified attribute is disposition, so we'll have to remember that. And then we had moderate losses. They were rough, but light recovery is likely. Modifier -2 rolls, -2 to rolls to hardship type modified attributes. Okay, so we'll see what that looks like. All right, hardship number 2. 5. Harsh weather. The region has beset by nature's wrath, modified attributes, condition, and size, and the resolution. Also heavy losses. Actually, that was the last one was moderate losses, heavy losses. The village's losses were awful. Recovery is proving difficult. -3 to rolls to hardship type modified attributes. So I think we're at -5 for that. That's not great. And our last hardship is we already got that one, so we'll roll again. Famine/food. Oh boy. They lost their community leader. They've had harsh weather, and it led to a famine and food shortage. The village normally produces some kind of food. It did not produce. If they typically get their food from the market, they've had difficulties doing so for some time. Modified attribute population density, and the hardship outcome is, again, heavy losses. So I think we're sitting at a -8 to hardship type modified attributes. But if you think about it, this actually kind of makes sense, right? So the village lost its community leader, which is very hard to deal with already. Then they got hit with harsh weather, which those two combined could lead to a food shortage or a famine. Okay, let's scroll down. Size. So the size of the village. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and determine this. Generally, it doesn't have anything to do. Modified by hardship type outcome. We didn't get any that modified. Oh, hang on. Harsh weather modifies size. Okay, so we're going to roll a d20 and then subtract 8. 15 -7 medium. There is 60 standing structures. Okay. Condition. The condition is perhaps the key feature that gives your village a real visual identity. This paints a picture. Okay, so we're rolling another d20. 19. Immaculate. The village is very well organized, and there is clearly a concerted effort to keep the village in the best shape possible. Cleanliness is a priority, as is maintenance. Roads and paths are plainly surfaced and clean. So even all that considered, maybe this is part of the reason why they have a food shortage, is because they spend so much time trying to keep the village clean. They're not actually focusing on getting food. +6 to the population wealth roll. Now, I don't believe, was condition modified by one of these? Harsh weather. Yep. Condition. Okay, so we're going to actually subtract 8 from that, sounds like. So we had 19. Okay, it puts us at simple. Most buildings are organized and seem sturdy enough, though there is nothing remarkable. The streets are clear enough to move through and maybe uneven and rutted. Okay, environment. With the 10. Forest. The village is nestled amongst the trees. Pretty simple. Speciality. Okay, roll a d6. 5. Crop. The village is known for a particularly notable crop. This could mean rare, high quality, plentiful, or a mix of the three. Well, they were known for this crop, but unfortunately, through a series of events, they are now in a shortage of either a famine or a food shortage. So something happened. All right, resources. Roll a d10. 4. Fishing. The villagers utilize the bounty of the nearest stream, river, lake, or ocean. The village's proximity to neighboring settlements dictates how fish can be sold. If remote, the fish might be dried and salted. If nearby, they could be sold fresh. Location, fisherman's stand, wharf, pier. Okay, so that could make sense, right? They are in the forest, but that doesn't mean there can't be a lake nearby. I just want to say we had disposition we haven't gotten to, population density, uh, condition and size we've already handled. Okay. Resources. We did that. Recent history. Okay. Let's see. Village gossip is a major aspect of day-to-day life. What do villagers talk about? What topics are discussed by the village elders or folks gathered around the local well? All right. So, 12. War torn. The village was occupied by military forces and suffered damages during wartime in the recent past. Man, maybe the wartime is what led to the loss of the leader, and maybe some of the process of this, trying to keep everyone fed, whether that was via fishing or whatnot, led to the issues with the lack of food. All right, step 2, community. Okay, so we've moved past like the general object. Now we're into the actual community aspect of it. Population density is a D20. We know this is going to be modified as well. Oh boy. Skeleton, because we got a 3 minus 8. There are only enough people here for the village to function at its most basic level, plus 2 to crime rolls. Okay. Disposition, this is also going to be modified. 2, hostile. Locals seem unfriendly towards visitors and would likely make out-of-towners feel unwelcome. This could manifest as coldness, passive aggressiveness, or even violence. I'm also realizing now that I combined all of the numbers. It might not be that you combine all the modifications. So I've been subtracting 8. It might be you subtract 3 from this or 2 from that or what have you, but I just kind of combined them all. But it kind of also makes sense that, right, if it was war torn at some point, and they were possibly having to house soldiers for some war, which led to the loss of their town leader, would also make sense that they would be hostile towards outsiders because the last time they let outsiders in their village, it led to the death of their leader and has landed them in the predicament they're in where they have a shortage of food. All right, law enforcement, 14. Organized rabble, perhaps better than the alternate. The alternative, this group has guidance and leadership in the form of an individual or a small group. They may or may not be competent. All right, that kind of also tracks, right? They're going to want to have their own defense here because of the fact of what's happened to them in the past. All right, and then leadership. 2, natural village elder. The village recognizes a wise individual and informally acknowledges them as an authority figure. Again, maybe they're not truly the authority figure, or they're not truly in charge, but there's a village elder there. Or they could be, maybe that's a recent election. All right, population wealth. I think this one was modified. Oh, all right, let's see. Prosperous. Most of the population has enough to live a good life, and of them, a fair amount can even live comfortably. I'm pretty sure this one was unmodified for us. If it's modified, it goes down to average. All right, we've got a +2 to crime here, so let's figure out what the crime situation is like. 18, plus, was it +2 to crime? It said, or is it -2 to crime? Should make sure I'm getting it right. Skeleton +2 to crime roll. Okay, we actually got an 18 plus 2 is 20. Little to none. Most or all the villagers believe the village is totally safe and certainly have experienced any crime personally. All right, well, again, if they're so hostile towards the outsiders and they're a tight-knit kind of community here with sort of like militia mentality, makes sense that there would be little to no crime because they don't really allow outsiders in their town. They just kind of defend it. All right, points of interest. All right, this is just unique stuff to add. So, places of worship. So I think we have a D2 places of worship, because based on the size. So 2 places of worship. All right, here's the size of the places of worship. 12. Oratory, a modest building with seating for attendees appointed with various items or images relating to that which faith venerates. And the other one, the other one is 15. Sanctuary, a large, well-appointed structure able to comfortably accommodate up to a few hundred people. All right, fervency of local following. How well do they follow these things? I guess we'll have to roll for both. So for our first one with the oratory, moderate. The pious are confident and unafraid to display their faith openly, but do not encroach upon the wider populace uncalled for. And the much larger one is a natural 20, which makes sense if they're big enough to have a sanctuary. Zealous. Adherents are utterly and unthinkably devout, forcing their doctrine upon their surroundings and peers, or taking actions that further their cause, regardless of personal cost. Though typically seen as a negative, this could also be a positive, such as a church of light rising up in an evil kingdom, helping those in need, even if it puts themselves in peril. Well, maybe the zealous ones are sort of like a church of maybe like a battle god or like a strategy god or a defense god, right? Because they want to protect the town. But like they're focusing all their efforts into keeping people out to keep the town safe, that they're losing sight of things like providing food options for the town. Alignment of said faith, good. Okay. Places of gathering, D2. Where's my D4? There you go. Only one place of gathering, which is D4. A gathering hall, general building used for community organized activities. All right, other locations, we have a D2, so 1 plus D2 plus 1, so 2 other locations. Here we go. We have percentile now. Okay. Other location 1 is a 3, a baker, bakes and sells fresh bread and possibly other pastries. And 33, tanner slash taxidermist, processes animal hides for practical or ornamental purposes. We live in the forest. There's talks of lots of fishing. Makes sense to have a taxidermist there. All right, I want to add a little extra intrigue to our village. 6, political, a celebration honoring events of national significance, such as remembering a great victory or gaining independence. Maybe that had something to do with, again, that military occupation that we talked about earlier. Political rumors. For noble wedding, a local noble has just married the son or daughter of a well-loved or greatly loathed family. Little extra intrigue there. Superstitions. Okay, how about a random superstition in our town? Never stick a knife point down into wood or a cutting block, as it invites acts of violence amongst those nearby. This is so silly, but these kinds of things are things your players will absolutely like cling to and remember. So you're gonna wanna, these I think are probably gonna be some of the best ones. Even if you already have a town established, I recommend coming and finding like the superstitions and just rolling and seeing what you could get. All right, what kind of goings on are there? Children missing. Some of the younger villagers have gone missing. How long have they been gone? What were they last seen doing? All right, so we've got a little adventure hook for the party there. And opportunities. 5. Party time. A festival is coming up soon, and a shipment carrying something important for the event has not arrived. Another hook for the party. Maybe they can go investigate that. All right, harsh weather. We know we've had harsh weather in the past, but we're dealing with wildfires. Awesome. Too close for comfort. Ash can be seen on the ground. Smoke can be smelled in the air. All right, what's the danger level of this town? 5. Low. Okay. Well, if you can survive the wildfire and the lack of food, I guess it's not too bad. So we don't have any danger, so we're going to skip that. It says, what next? It says, you've reached the end of the builder, but the process is not yet complete. Though you've undoubtedly started doing so already, that your final task awaits. Look back at all your roles and the information that gives you, and think about why things are the way they are. We kind of did that as we went through. Think of every detail that you rolled as another clue to revealing the true identity of this place. Be creative, let your imagination wander, and don't tell yourself no. As we said in chapter 1, embrace the contradictions and oddities, and you will see your village come to life. And again, if we were to scroll down, we should get a pre-made village or a couple. Here's one. Sort of a whole treehouse village. They had 2 hardships, a raid and intercommunity conflict / violence. Let's see, recent history, they had animal issues. Community, points of interest, there's an altar. An outdoor rec area, a magic shop of miscellaneous curiosities. And they have a couple extra intrigue kind of hooks there. And then here's a map showcasing it. There's a handful of these. As you work to continue to scroll through, you'll see more in a variety. And again, we're just in villages now. We have trading posts and fortresses and other things here. So what is it? 3? That's 3. 4, 5, 6. 6? Is it 6? Yeah. 7, 8. So we actually had 8 different village options. So you have a lot of different pre-gens that you could just obviously use, rename, or whatever. We jump ahead to interesting NPCs. We can add interesting NPCs to things. We have, here we have apothecaries, curators, mayors, moneylenders, and so on. You know what? We have tanners and taxidermists. We know we have one in our town. Let's go ahead and check out their section and we'll roll for them. Tanners and taxidermists. Oh, keep going. Okay. So let's roll for our tanner and taxidermist in our town. Galamo Fry. This one here, number 2. All right, we have stats for him. Is a tiefling who works at a hodgepodge shop as mismatched as his work. Here we can see his game stats. There you go. Just got a little bit of information about him. All right. So, yeah, we got all that. Tavern keepers and so on. What comes on after that? Location information. Some encounter options here. You can throw in for a variety of different options. The urban encounters table. Here's a rumor table. Let's put a rumor in our town. I heard a rumor. 90. I heard a rumor. A nearby nation or powerful entity has spies in the city. Oh, spooky. All right. Again, character, people, and monsters to help generate random kind of NPCs. Tavern builder is here as well. Tavern name. Let's build the tavern for our town. Roll a d20. 17. The Jolly. 17 again. 17, 17. Jolly Spear. All right. Either food, drink, standard fare, alcohol. Then we just have an animal table, crops and minerals, arts and literature, touch, various miscellaneous. How much do you love Nord games? Let's roll our d12. 1. A lot. There you go. Time of day table, hook / situation builder. People who might need help, problems, appearance. Let's try this one. 10. Grandmother needs help because they owe someone something. They are otherworldly and their emotions are excited. Then here's clothing, verbs, items of value, pets that they might have. It says alternative magic shop rarity here. These tables below are shop tables that vary the rarity of magic shops depending on how rare you might need them to be. It kind of shows the rarity and things here. Magic shop chance 6%. The second 100 is traveling exotic goods merchant. If you roll 100 and are complete and doing a completely no magic setting, use the traveling merchant instead. And then we're into the appendices here. So again, that's a very high level. They also have, if you scroll down here, there is a printable trading post name, as well as here will be points of interest. We scroll down, we'll have the village name. So you actually have almost like a character sheet for your various settlements here. So again, feel free to take the settlement that, that I just built, and use that in your own campaign and take and tweak the story as you see fit. But also, obviously, pretty easy to generate your own. And obviously, like I said, you could just read through it and look and be like, okay, I need to add a town here, or I need to add a village or whatever, and then pick whatever kind of stands out to you, or roll and just kind of determine it all randomly. So, anyway, I wanted to say a huge shout out and thank you again to Nord Games for sponsoring this video. There's a affiliate link in the video description. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. See you all next time.